How about we do another one in this Alekhine series? And in this one, I'm going to play a bit of a sideline that I covered in the Alekhine defense, The Dark Knight Rises. And right here, typically you play d6 and fight for the center. But I investigated this sideline with knight b6 because it's got some surprise value to it. It still has a high possibility to transpose back into, say, the exchange variation if white just plays c4 here, where pick your poison, e takes, like Grandmaster Bortnick, or c takes, which is typically my preference when I play this position. But if they venture the route of knight f3, we have an extra response that typically isn't available in the Alekhine with d5. And I will say, after doing some research in the knight b6 position, there are some lines that white has that definitively he's got his first move edge and a bit more. But if you're okay with venturing on the risk-taking side, the knight b6 line may be for you, because you're going to get a fixed French structure in the majority of games, as we'll see in this one. Just white plays bishop e2. Much prefer the bishop on d3, as it's on a more active square, but that's already a good sign for our position. Bishop g4. Now, we don't have to worry about anything. It should be of note, if h3 is played, we do not want to allow e6. So we're just going to snack there, and as stated before, it's a fixed French structure, and this knight may very well come to a4 in some variations when this bishop moves. So some ideas to look out for that I remember from the main course. Well, bishop g4. Our opponent still isn't playing any sort of pressing variation. Just someone who doesn't know a lot of theory, is just developing normally. e6. And now this next move is where it starts to break. Our opponent plays b3. Much better would be to play c3 to shore up the chain against the inevitable c5 that's going to be played. b3, this pawn is still weak, and I don't waste any time. c5 hitting the center. Now on bishop b2, pressure. We have this weakness that we can very easily pile up on. So, castles. And once I take an advantage like this, so far in the game, the opponent hasn't shown anything critical. So, being that he's not playing very critically, we can play some setup moves. And this, I've been asked this before, like what's fishing? I'm going fishing. Rook c8. Fishing for more errors. And after rook c8, h3, okay, keeps the tension. Nothing bad there. c3, he's showing that he's keeping my pieces out. He's making some good moves. So I'll just castle, tuck the nugget away. And as soon as I castle, seems like white should be nearly okay after rook e1, and he's just got the slightly worse structure. I'm going to pile up on the e-pawn. But this odd move h4 is played. Not quite sure why, but I don't try to understand bad moves. If I can rationalize them, I can play them. So we're going to let that one go. So, okay, well, bishop e7, I'm going to immediately go after the fresh weakness. And after knight g5, let's clip a bit, as that's the bad bishop in the position. And, hey, a pawn is a pawn. We'll take them. As well as the e-pawn is hit. White should definitely go f4, in which case queen g6. That keeps an eye on f5, and it also threatens to go to c2. And rook f e8. So if f5 is ever played, our rook is going to be hitting that e-pawn weakness. I think my opponent was a bit shell-shocked after queen takes g5 and played bishop c1, which missed. the hanging of the e-pawn, and now it's a question of how efficient can we be. The only way I can really lose this game is by being checkmated, so having his queen gives him a high possibility of that. So queen f6, knight e5. Shouldn't be trading when you're down, and I will take that opportunity to trade. Grab the rook. And no matter what at this point, I am completely fine as, say, for instance, bishop h6. I'll calmly go queen d4 as I'm viewing the mating square and protecting my queen. And in the main game, bishop a3 was played, where I just simply took, and that was all she wrote, as we have an extra knight, and the outside passed a pawn will convert cleanly here. And that'll do it for this one.